G'day everyone, I'm Mr. Blaze, and welcome back to another episode of the Tri-Point Podcast, episode number 126, with me, myself, and I today. It's only me. Kinunners is currently unavailable. However, I'm here to do a light version of the podcast. Unfortunately, the one she's unavailable on is the one where I'll be talking about Fire Emblem, which is much more up her alley. However, oh well, these things happen. Therefore, let's get straight into it, because I may as well. The first things I want to talk about is the backwards compatibility for Xbox, and we brought that up in the last podcast because they had some original Xbox games coming to PC, part of the backwards compatibility, and there looks like they're definitely working on bringing out the 360 stuff as well, if they can. It looks like it's going to be sort of full backwards compatibility, except for, like, I'm assuming select games that already have other versions on PC, maybe. However, very exciting. They're focusing around that for, like, next year and all that sort of thing as well, which is very, very exciting for people who play on PC, which is not me. I'm a much more console-oriented player. Unfortunately. The PlayStation 5 is going all digital, as we know, and they've doubled down on that by putting a label on the boxes now that states that from whatever date, 2028, there will no longer be physical media for it. You can continue to play physical media on this console, however, I like that it's a sticker on the box as well, instead of an actual, like, print on the box, which I think is simply funny. People do seem to think that because it's a sticker, there's a chance that they could backtrack from it. I doubt it, to be honest with you. Sony are really trying to pull this one out, and I'm one of the people who really hopes to backtrack. However, it's becoming less and less likely as the weeks go on, to be completely honest with you. Moving back over to Xbox again, however, there's been a new update to the Xbox. You can now have voice capture in what's it called? Voice, when you're speaking to people over the internet. You can now have that in the game captures, which is neat. There's new ways to view the achievements, which is interesting as well, and cloud saves have a lot more control over how they work and what you want to do with them as well, which is very, very handy. Yuli, I don't know, I'm gonna butcher this name. Yuli, Latukafu? I don't know how that's meant to be said. However, by what I understand, he will be playing Ganondorf in the Legend of Zelda movie that comes out next year. Kind of exciting, but I understand he's Australian, therefore I feel seen a little bit, I guess. Anyway, that is funny. Minecraft, the Switch 2 edition, which I'm very excited for because it's what I've been wanting for ages. It will be releasing on October 27th. They have put out the date for it. They haven't said anything about mouse controls. However, I think it would be nice for them to put mouse controls in the game. I think it would work really, really well. And then another thing is with Arknights Endfields, because we covered that on the channel, as we always do. Lino, the new character, will be releasing today, as of when I'm recording this, which is fancy. I'll see if I can get on and get her. Excited. That is it for the smaller things, though. Let's talk about some more of the bigger trailery things. Tomb Raider, Legacy of the Atlantis, the first one, they've put out another video, as they've been doing for behind the scenes for things, talking about the puzzles and traps and the design mentality that goes into them and how they've been upgraded and also that sort of thing. I really like the look of this game. I know I will never have time to play it, however, I do really like the look of the remake. I've never actually played the originals. I've played all three of the reboot games, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider is one of my favorite games of all time, to be honest with you. I know people are much more partial to Rise. However, I prefer Shadow. I've always liked Shadow. It's such a good game. I've 100%ed it. It was fun. However, I've played all three of the reboots. This puzzles and traps video looks good. I do like how they're doing the behind the scenes for it and everything like that, showing off what they've changed, how they do it, and all that sort of thing. Modernized controls. Always handy. And then the big piece of news this week is the Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave Direct. And it goes for about 22 minutes and 27 seconds. As I said, I'm not necessarily the biggest the Fire Emblem guy. To be honest, I haven't really played them. This is much more Kinunners alley. However, I will try to discuss it. Basically, they show off a lot of the stuff to do with the 4 heroes that we've seen a lot of thus far, in the heroic games and all that sort of thing. They talk about how like you can choose any of them, and you can then switch stories at any time, and it will like be where that character has progressed to in their story when you switch to it, which is really neat. I think that's such a fantastic way of doing things. And then they show off all the characters doing things, like all the basic stuff, like the class system and all that sort of thing, the how the story works and everything, how people talk to each other. You have Kai, Dietrich, Theodora, and Lita, who we've seen before in the previous trailer and stuff like that, and in like the Nintendo Today app and everything like that, which is always fancy. They talk about that. They talk about how supports work, of course, like general Fire Emblem things. I will say this game seems to have taken these general Fire Emblem things and like expanded it to another degree, which is like, this looks like it's going to be a massive Fire Emblem game. And that's before talking about some other things, which I'll get to in a minute. However, and one thing I do want to talk about is the animations in this game look fantastic. I don't know, they look absolutely great. Like, it looks like it continues on from where Engage left off with its animation style and all that sort of thing. I don't know, they are fantastic. Even the way now down to when the text boxes pop up down the bottom and like the characters move between the text that changes and all that sort of thing. They move a little bit, and it sort of shows on their face what they're sort of thinking or how they're sort of acting as they speak. That is neat. That is really neat. Graphically, it looks fantastic. I mean, I was just hoping it would, to be honest. I would have expected it to, especially being on the Switch too. As I said, though, they go over the class system and everything like that, showing off advanced classes. They have Anna riding an elephant at one point, which I think is funny. And then they show off like the main 4 characters have their own special abilities and stuff like that, which is neat as well. Like mixed classes like Spellcaster and Bows, which is grand. As I said, I'm not fully into it. I don't know how this compares to previous games or anything like that. But they do go over a lot of the classes beforehand and stuff like that. And then, and talk about all the supports and everything, as I said before. Really good. They sort of show that, like, there's a timer system and stuff like that, where you have to, like, apologies for the siren outside. Okay. I'll wait for it to go past, I guess. There's the normal support system, and then, like, what you do in between matches and everything like that. And you can spectate other, like, stories and matches and stuff like that, which is really interesting, to be honest. There's a whole, like, hub, which is not surprising. They've been doing that in Fire Emblem for a little while now. We can go get your weapons and swords and everything like that, which is always handy. There's these things called blessings that change, like, the amount of damage or, like, all sorts of different things. Or how much damage you take and all that sort of thing. Really neat. Certification exams, which is to help with the leveling up to a different class and all that sort of thing. Yeah, there's like quests and all sorts. There's a lot going on, and it looks like another Fire Emblem game for the most part here. And then they pull the whole the whole time skip thing, which I know was the thing in Three Houses. However, like, this one only goes 5 years into the future, and instead of like continuing to follow the characters into the future and that sort of thing, you start off as, I can't remember his name right now, the main character, the actual main character of the game. And I'm not 100% sure how far through the game this is going to be. However, you're called in by Sothis. There's a character customizer, which has been shown in Nintendo today. It's not necessarily overly, like, complex or anything like that. However, it definitely has some stuff in it that you can do, which is, I think that's a first. I'm pretty sure that's a first for the series. This is, like, fully the blank slate character, which I know they've had blank slate characters before. However, this one seems to be even more down that path. However, the idea is this evil lady with green hair, which seems to be the way that Fire Emblem goes. is attacked everything, destroyed basically everything. Sothis calls you in. Then you can travel back in time, and you can either try battle the demon person herself, the demon god, I think it is, and I mean it would be very difficult. You can do it either by yourself, or you can go back in time and uh recruit the people from the heroic games, the 4 people that you spent a whole bunch of time with before already as well, which is really neat. And you can get them to help you in the future and all that sort of thing, defeat this problem and all that, which is, I don't know, I think that's fantastic. To be honest with you, that is such an interesting twist, which I was very much not expecting, and I think it is great. I'm curious to see where it goes. Again, I'm not probably going to be the one who plays it. However, yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. It's fantastic. It's such a good idea. It makes the game even bigger though. This game is going to be huge. How much there is to do in it and everything. Yeah, big game. They go over the collector's edition again, which I mean we've pre-ordered it. Then they talk about how some music's been put in Nintendo Music. I've had a listen. It's pretty good music. And then Nintendo today they've added a Fire Emblem theme, which I'm not using. However, I'm sure Kinunners is. Therefore, yeah. It looks good. Yeah. They're doing an Ask the Developer on the 15th of September. It looks good. Again, not necessarily my thing. However, for people who it is, I can imagine they're extraordinarily excited. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was the Fire Emblem Direct, which happened this week. And now the last thing I want to talk about is some financials. And it's not the usual financials that I tend to talk about. I will be talking about Nintendo's financials, because it's been a year, essentially, already. I can't believe that. And they've got their consolidated financial highlights and stuff like that out. And yeah, their net sales overall have gone down by about 9.5%. However, their operating profit has gone up about 150.5%, which is, yeah, that's a lot. They've been going up basically for everything else, which is really interesting. Net sales did decrease, as I said. However, yeah, everything rose, which is interesting. And I'm assuming, a lot of it would have to do because of the Switch 2, and it has been recorded that approximately $300 million US as a reduction of costs of sales in connection with refunds to tariffs and stuff like that, which is interesting. I don't know how that necessarily works. Sales status of hardware and software. However, the Nintendo Switch 2, it went down about 34.4% from 5.82 million to 3.82, which is, that makes sense, moving from its launch quarter to its, this is quarter to quarter, therefore this is the first quarter for this time as opposed to the first quarter for last time. Of course it's gone down because, all the people who wanted to buy it directly from the start have already bought it, type thing. The Switch 1 has gone down 31.8% from 0.98 million units to 0.66 million units. Yeah, that sounds about right as well, as it's an aging system. Software, on the other hand, has gone up both ways. The Switch 2 has gone up from 8.67 million units to 9.46 million units. That's a rise of 9.2%. And the Switch 1 has gone up from 24.4 million units to 33.81 million units. That's a rise of 38.6%. That is amazing. And I will give a reason in a second. Why? What? There is a bit of a specific software that happens to link in with that a lot. However, yeah, they're looking at hardware sales. The Switch 2 sales have declined, and the Switch sales declined as well. It makes sense because many consumers continue to adopt this system. However, it's not like the launch month. Looking at software sales, Switch increased, and then the Nintendo Switch 2 increased as well. And a lot of it is in addition to the solid performance of Tomodachi Life, which sold 7.94 million units, which is way more than I ever thought it was going to. And Pokemon Pokopia, which sold 1.727 million units. However, there's an asterisk there, because in Japan, Pokemon Pokopia was released and sold by the Pokemon Company instead, therefore we don't 100% no. And I was expecting that to be higher, even with all that sort of stuff. Therefore, yeah, that's that is interesting. How Tomodachi Life is that's wow. that is yeah. I can't believe that. There's a lot. As for the forecast and everything like though, they have forecasted that for the financial year of 2027, the Switch 2 will sell about 16.5 million units, hardware-wise, and software-wise will sell about 60 million units, well, at least get up to, type thing. The 16.5 is a bit of a down, I believe, from the last financial year actual or something like that, which is interesting. As for the Switch, it is dropping. It's forecast to only sell another 2 million units, and software to reach 105 million units, which is both drops. However, that makes sense, as I said. We're out of the Switch 1's first year, and we're out of the Switch's, like, whatever, 8th year, 9th? We're in the 9th year or something? That's ridiculous, oh my god. Yeah, no. Fantastic, though. Tomodachi Life selling... Well, technically now it's sold over 8 million globally, which is... Wow. Yeah, it's shown a lot of strong sales. Its global sell-through has exceeded 8 million units, and it's been enjoyed by basically everyone. Consumers are able to play Switch software with the Switch 2. Many people are taking advantage of this feature as well, which makes sense. Helps expand sales a little bit. Other software that they've released though, they've released the Yoshi, Star Fox, and Splatoon Raiders. They don't have. I don't know if they have any sales here. Do they? Let's find out. Yes, they do for some games, not the ones that I was looking at then though. Let's stick on Switch 2 for a second though. Switch 2 Mario Kart World has sold 15.39 million pieces in total at the moment. Donkey Kong Bonanza at 4.78. There's a big drop between them because that's the first and second highest, for Switch 2 at least. Legend ZA at 3.99, Pokopia at 3.68, which I'm surprised about. Air Riders at 1.9, and Mario Party Jamboree at 1.15. As for the Switch software, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has reached 71.53 million. Animal Crossing New Horizons is at 50.29. Smash Brothers is at 38.14. Breath of the Wild is at 34.6. Odyssey is at 30.8. Scarlet Violet, 28.46. Sword and Shield at 27.26. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is at 22.71. Super Mario Party is at 21.36, and Mario Bros. U Deluxe is at 19.10, which are very strong across the board. Yeah, I'm sure Nintendo are quite happy with their financials overall, to be honest. Fantastic. Yeah, that will probably do it for this episode, though. I'll quickly talk about the poll, because the poll for last week was if people would be interested in the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 port on Switch 2. And we had one response, and it was, I've already played the game on another platform. Therefore, yeah, the poll for this week will probably be something Fire Emblem related as well. Therefore, I hope everybody enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for listening, and we shall be back in the next one. Cheers, everyone.